The last day of the convention, and anti-Trump protesters, they saved the biggest for last. Fios One's Natalie Patterson, she has more from right outside Quicken Loans Arena. Natalie?
In addition to the dozens of protests we've seen here in Public Square this afternoon, Republicans and Democrats joined forces to take a stand against Donald Trump. Hundreds of demonstrators walked in protest of Donald Trump Thursday afternoon, creating the single largest organized march during the Republican National Convention thus far.
Donald Trump cannot represent the United States of America. He is a joke.
He is narcissistic, self-promoting, doesn't produce the results and the outcomes that he says he does.
Organizers for Stand Together Against Trump tell us the group has brought together Republicans and Democrats who believe Donald Trump's rhetoric is racist, anti-immigrant, and sexist.
We see a lot of really nasty, offensive rhetoric coming from now openly racist groups moving into the public conversation thanks to the space that he's opened up. We are in no way against Republicans. Many of our members are Republicans. We are a group of broad political backgrounds that really want to stand together against this kind of rhetoric, against scapegoating immigrants and minorities, Muslims.
Xenophobia? Is that a fear of zebras? No, it's a fear of anything different, like Trump's plan to ban Muslims.
Len Jones, a Republican, says he took part in the march due to the proposal Trump made a couple months ago regarding the national debt.
I've been in corporate America for many years myself, and when I heard what he was talking about with discounting the debt, I mean, we do that as a normal course of business in our business, but if you start doing that with the full faith and credit of the U.S. dollar, our economy will collapse, and I think it'll happen quickly, and it's terrifying to me.
The group Stand Together Against Trump is expected to hold one more rally later on this evening right here in Public Square. They are trying to time it at the same time Donald Trump delivers his speech inside the Republican National Convention. For RFL, Natalie Patterson.
Natalie, thank you. And I should mention, the group is actually bipartisan that are out there protesting. But Dom, I'll be honest, I thought a huge storyline of this week in Cleveland was going to be the protests. They've set him up. I mean, they set him. We talked about the pen in front of MSG. Remember the Republicans were in town? That's child play to commit to this one. They're like miles away, locked, set aside. Nonetheless, the protests, I mean, the biggest protests have been inside the arena here with the speakers. Let's be honest. It hasn't been from the floor, let alone from outside the arena.
And covering several conventions over the years, if I wanted to make a point, I wouldn't do it as a protester at a political convention. The nature of the way it's set up, and you have to say bravo to the Cleveland police that did an outstanding job. Thus far, we have not heard of any major incidents which clashes between police and protesters. The way it's set up, Richard, you're never going to, what they did in New York City is they just arrested all the protesters in advance. Ray Kelly, if you're going to protest, they're never going to permit you to get anywhere near the venue where the convention is being held. So you're basically just standing out there wasting your time. Literally, that's what it comes down to.
I'm going to add something to this. If I were the Democrats, I would be pleading with people not to protest, because some protesters make people think, gosh, that's the kind of thing Trump's talking about. You know, when they act ugly, they just make Trump look better.
Yeah, but right. Nonetheless, look at the date lines we saw across this country, from the ugliness in San Jose to people punching each other. Now, I understand that's a rally, not a convention where you have delegates, et cetera, and all the rest. But there was nothing that would have led me to believe, Bill, in this convention, in the run-up to this convention, that we wouldn't have seen ugliness outside and potentially even inside the arena. Through at least day 3, knock on wood, we haven't seen any of it yet.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the major storyline would be what happened outside of the convention, not inside the convention. There'd be stories both ways, but outside would be bigger. My business partner's out there. She represents the New York State Republican Party. And she, when she first got out there, she talked about the barricades that were erected, and Cleveland PD was telling people, she got there last Thursday, don't go outside unless you absolutely have to. And for 3 days, they stayed in the hotel. There was this really ominous feeling. I thought, my God, this could really blow, and it hasn't. It's really been handled well, and so far, and you knock on wood, but Cleveland, PD and others have obviously done a good job. The demonstrators have done a good job keeping it cool, and I think that's great.
Do any of you worry like I do about the safety of our presidential candidates?
Oh.
I feel like there was almost like this mob scene in the convention, and that gets translated publicly. I hope they protect Trump. I hope they protect Hillary Clinton and the other candidates. I'm really concerned about that.
Yeah.
The big question is, who will the Republican nominee be in 2020?
Well, you're making a major leap
Will
here.
it be Donald Trump?
No, it'll be Jeb Bush.
Oh,
Are
give
you
me a
This
break.
is being
What?
set.
Are you
This is being
serious?
set up for Bush. This
the
dynamic works for Bush.
Wait, what time do you want me to wake up?
Yeah,
Well, you still think Trump has a chance to win?
I bet money on it that he has a good chance of
You
winning.
bet money that he has a good chance?
That he has a good chance of winning.
What does that mean?
What kind of
It means that he'll finish within his
I'm
point.
still back with the
320.
leopard in its stripes.
Thinking about John Kasich with it,
That's a
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good
zebra
one.
and stripes.
Yeah,
One of the
whatever.
first times I have no idea where to go from there. So help me out in that the protests that I thought we'd see a big Latino population talking about all the wall comments and the rapists, et cetera, that are defined as people not from this country. I figured that we'd see some protests from people talking about equity, civil rights, or whatever else. It really hasn't been an issue. Didn't you think it would have been?
I thought it might, and Chris put his finger on it. That would have been a terrible thing for the Democrats if the Democratic protesters got ugly
And they were waving Mexican flags here instead of what else, and then it would have created more division, right?
You can argue that it is either complacence on the part of Hillary supporters, which I don't think it is, or you could argue, on the other hand, that it's really a discipline for those disciplined behavior on the part of those who do not want Donald Trump to be president. They don't want to add any momentum or enthusiasm to the Trump supporters by making an ugly scene at the convention. They'd rather hold their fire till Election Day and go out and vote in droves and make sure
Now,
that Trump is not
I'm
elected.
going to couch this a little bit because part of this is Dom knows it's TV, and 68 might have been, terrible imagery, but it was great TV, okay, in Chicago. So you don't want that. But on the same end, protests can be healthy. I think a communication of where the public is, and while they don't speak for everybody in this country, different ideas and everything else, part of me, while I appreciate the overriding concern has to be security, I think it gets so homogenized that
Richard, when the lemmings are running over the cliff, you don't need to point them the way. The Republican Party is self-destructing.
Wait, what was that? I want to follow it.
The lemmings with the stripes.
Okay.
He meant that when your enemies are making fools out of themselves, you don't stop them or distract attention
What's wrong
from the
with
fact.
lemmings? Wait, you got a thing about lemmings?
I like lions.
Yeah, with my iced tea.
You're losing control.
Well, when I've got leopards with spots and lemmings and bosoms and whatever else, it's a little tough, all right? Give me some credit. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.